The Knicks take on the Hornets, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. New York's minus 1.5, totals 224. We're 7-0 with a push in our last 8 extra daily picks on brockpage.com. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We're also 6-3 in our last 9 NBA tier package picks on that very same website. And the good news is we have another NBA tier package pick going off here this evening. We currently have over 860 members who are signed up and active on that page. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. And despite their struggles here recently, the Knicks have done a pretty nice job on the road this year. They're 5-1 straight up when traveling, and they allow only 103 points a game in that same category. Meanwhile, offensively, Julius Randle scoring over 21.5 points a game, 10 boards, 5 assists for the forward. Meanwhile, RJ Barrett's dropping 16 points a game himself, 5 boards, 2.5 assists for Randle. New York's in the top 3 in fourth quarter scoring. They're taking on a Charlotte team who lost 5 out of their last 6 themselves. The Hornets allow more points per contest at home than any other team in the league. They're also in the bottom 3 in defensive rebounding at home as well. Now, total-wise, Charlotte's 4-0 to the over at home, 9-4 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the New York Knicks minus 1.5 over 224. Next game, Pistons, Cavaliers, 7:30 Eastern start time. Cleveland's minus 4.5, totals 201. The Cavs have successfully covered the point spread in their last 6 straight. They're also 90% against the number in their last 10. Cleveland's allowing only 104 points per contest. Jared Allen's grabbing 11.5 rebounds a game, 14 points a night for Allen as well. And speaking of scoring, Darius Garland's averaging over 15.5 points a night himself. Cleveland's currently in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage. They're taking on a Detroit club who lost 8 out of their last 10. And they score fewer points per contest than any other team in the association. Detroit's averaging just 96 points a game, and they're shooting only 28% from beyond the arc. Olynyk and Livers are still out for Detroit. Love, Markkanen, and Sexton for Cleveland. When it comes to the total in this one, the Cavs' last 10 straight meetings with Detroit went over the total. Meanwhile, the Pistons saw 3 out of their last 5 road games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland minus 4.5 over 201. Next matchup, Bucks, Celtics, 7:30 Eastern tip-off. Milwaukee's minus 1.5, totals 211. The Bucks have won their last 2 straight, 5-2 against the spread on the road this season. Milwaukee's scoring 111 points a game when traveling, and they're in the top 3 in shooting the 3-ball on the road. Drew Holiday shooting over 44% from beyond the arc, 13 points a night for Drew. Meanwhile, Giannis Antetokounmpo scoring over 26.5 points a night himself, 11 rebounds, 6 assists for the Greek Freak. They're taking on a Boston club who lost 3 of 4 at the Garden this year, and they really struggle rebounding the basketball. The Celtics are in the bottom 3 in home offensive rebounding, bottom 5 in defensive rebounding as well. Boston's also letting their opponents make nearly 49% of their field goals against them on their home court. Now, injury-wise, Jaylen Brown is still out indefinitely for Boston. Meanwhile, for Milwaukee, Middleton, DiVincenzo, and I got Middleton listed twice. So it is an important guy to be out. But regardless, total-wise, 7 out of Milwaukee's last 10 meetings with Boston got over the number. Meanwhile, 3 out of Boston's last 5 outings got over the line themselves, throwing out the Toronto game. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee, minus 1.5 over 211. Next contest, Suns, Grizzlies, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Phoenix is minus 1.5, totals 222 and a hook. The Suns are on a 6-game winning streak, 5-1 against the spread in those 6 victories. Phoenix leads the NBA in offensive field goal percentage, top 5 in scoring on average per game. Devin Booker is dropping over 22.5 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Mikal Bridges is scoring 14 points a night himself, along with 3 rebounds. Bridges is drilling 40% of his three-pointers. They're taking on a Memphis squad who lost 2 out of their last 3. And they're going to have to go to work without Brooks, Tilly, and possibly Adams. The Grizzlies have struggled defensively this year. They're in the bottom 3 in points allowed per contest. And they're letting their opponents make nearly 40% of their three-pointers. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Memphis' last 6 home games got over the line. Phoenix is 3-1 to the over in their last 4 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Suns minus 1.5 over 222 and a hook. Next contest, Kings, Thunder, 8 o'clock East. Sacramento's minus 4.5, totals 219. The Kings are on a 3-game losing streak, 2-5 straight up in their last 7. Sacramento's allowing nearly 117 points a night when they travel. And they currently rank in the bottom 3 in road defensive rebounding. They're taking on a Thunder team who's 3-1 against the spread at home this season, and they're right in the middle of a 3-game winning streak. Equally as impressive, OKC's gone 6-1 against the spread in their last 7. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring over 22.5 points a night, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for Shai. Meanwhile, Lou Dort is scoring 14 points a night himself, 4 rebounds, couple assists for Lou. OKC's done a real nice job rebounding the basketball. They're in the top 5 in offensive rebounding, top 10 in defensive rebounding at home. Now, injury-wise, OKC's relatively healthy at the moment. Meanwhile, for Sacramento, Davis and Halliburton are questionable. Now, 4 out of Sacramento's last 6 road games got over the number. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with OKC. I'm going to lean toward the OKC Thunder plus 4.5 over 219. Next matchup, Nets, Pelicans, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Brooklyn's minus 8.5, totals 222. The Nets are 6-1 straight up in their last 7. Brooklyn's currently leading the NBA in three-point shooting on the road. Kevin Durant's drilling nearly 41% of his three-pointers. 29.5 points a game along with 8 boards, 5 assists for KD. Meanwhile, James Harden scoring 18 points a night himself, 8 rebounds, 8 assists for the Beard. Now defensively, the Nets allow only 103 points a game, and they're holding their opponents to just 29% shooting from beyond the arc on the road. They're taking on a Pelicans team who lost their last 8 straight. As a matter of fact, the 1-11 Pelicans are winless at home. And they're letting their opponents make 40% of their three-pointers against them at the Smoothie King Center. Now, Ingram and Marshall are questionable for New Orleans. Williamson and Holmes are still out. When it comes to the scoring of this one, the Pels have gone 75% to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, 4 out of Brooklyn's last 6 road games fell under the total themselves, 9-3 to the under for the entire season as well. I'm going to lean toward Brooklyn minus 8.5, under 222. Next contest, Blazers, Rockets, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Portland's minus 6, totals 222.5. Portland has yet to win a game on the road here this season. They're 0-6 straight up when traveling, 0-6 against the spread in those road losses. The Blazers are dead last in defensive field goal percentage on the road. They're also letting their opponents make 43% of their three-pointers away from home as well. They're taking on a Houston club who successfully covered the point spread in 4 out of their last 6. The Rockets are in the top 10 in guarding the 3-ball, top 10 in defensive field goal percentage at home. Meanwhile, offensively, Christian Wood is scoring over 17.5 points a game, 11 boards, couple assists for Wood. Meanwhile, Jalen Green is scoring 14.5 points a night himself, 3 rebounds, 2 assists for Green. Now, injury-wise, John Wall's still out for the Rockets. Norm Powell is questionable for the Blazers. When it comes to the total in this one, Portland went 70% to the under in their last 10 outings. Houston's 7-4 to the under for the entire season themselves. I'm going to lean toward Houston plus 6, under 222.5. Next contest, Mavs, Spurs, 8:30 Eastern tip-off. Dallas is minus 3, totals 219.5. Now, the Mavs have actually been one of the worst covering teams in the NBA here recently. They're amongst the worst. They failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5 ball games, 2-7 against the spread in their last 9. The Mavs are currently dead last in the NBA in offensive field goal percentage on the road. They're also averaging just 96 points a game in those road contests. They're shooting only 29% from downtown in that same category. Now, they're taking on a Spurs team who successfully covered the number in 5 out of their last 7. The Spurs have also been really good offensively at home. They're leading the NBA in offensive field goal percentage on their home court. And they're averaging 120 points a game there. DeJounte Murray scoring over 18 points a night, 7 rebounds, 8 assists for Murray. Meanwhile, Keldon Johnson scoring 15.5 points a night himself, along with 6 rebounds, couple assists. Now, injury-wise, Bates Diop is questionable for San Antonio. Pirtle and Collins are still out for the Spurs as well. Meanwhile, for Dallas on the other side, Maxi Kleber is still out indefinitely for them. Now, total-wise, Dallas is 4-1 to the under on the road, 9-2 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Spurs saw 3 out of their last 4 fall under the total themselves. I'm going to lean towards San Antonio +3, under 219.5. Next contest, Hawks, Nuggets, 9 o'clock East. Denver's -4, totals 214.5. The Nuggets are on a 3-game winning streak. Nikola Jokic is back after serving a suspension. The Nuggets have also been really good at the Ball Arena, 5-1 straight up in the Mile High City, first in the NBA in fewest points allowed. Denver's giving up only 93 points a game at the Ball Arena. Nikola Jokic is averaging nearly 2 steals a game, 13 rebounds a night for the Joker. Now, Jokic is also scoring 25 points a game, and he's drilling 40% of his 3 balls. And speaking of 3-pointers, Will Barton's making nearly 44% of his 3 balls himself, 17.5 points a night for Barton. Now, they're taking on a Hawks team who lost their last 5 straight, and they failed to cover the number in 8 out of their last 9. As a matter of fact, the Hawks have failed to cover the point spread in all 8 of their road games this year. Atlanta's in the bottom 10 in the association in points allowed. They're also in the bottom 10 in defensive field goal percentage. Now, injury-wise, Bogdanović and Hunter are questionable for the Hawks. Meanwhile, Murray and Porter are still out for Denver. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, Denver's 5-1 to the under at home, 9-2 to the under for the whole year. I'm going to lean toward Denver -4, under 214.5. Next ball game should be a good one. Game of the night. I'm talking about the Bulls versus the Warriors, 10 o'clock Eastern start time. Golden State's -5.5, totals 222. And speaking of the total in this one, Golden State saw 5 out of their last 8 home games fall under the posted number. They're also 7-4 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Bulls saw 4 out of their last 7 fall under the posted total themselves. They're officially 60% to the under in their last 10 head-to-head meetings with Golden State. And when it comes to picking a winner in this one, this game is being featured as my NBA tier package pick on BrockPage.com. So if you want to see whether I'm picking Chicago or Golden State to cover the number in this one, I got a monster play on this game, and there's only one way to find out. That's to sign up for my NBA tier package pick on BrockPage.com. But as far as a free pick goes here for this contest, I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the under 222 in that ball game. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Timberwolves versus the Lakers, 10:30 Eastern tip-off. LA's -2, totals 223.5. The Lakers are on a 2-game winning streak, 7-3 straight up in their last 10. LA's playing some pretty good basketball at the Staples Center this year. They're 6-3 straight up at home, top 3 in the NBA in home 3-point percentage. Carmelo Anthony's making 50% of his 3-pointers this season, 17 points a game off the bench for Melo. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis is dropping nearly 24 points a night, along with 11 rebounds, 2 assists. The Lakers are in the top 10 in home scoring, and they're drilling 40% of their 3-pointers in the Staples Center. They're taking on a Minnesota club who lost their last 6 straight, 1-8 against the spread in their last 9. Now, Minnesota's currently in the worst defensive rebounding team in the association. They're also allowing 119 points a game when traveling. Injury-wise, the T-Wolves are relatively healthy at the moment. Meanwhile, for the Lakers, LeBron and Nunn are still out. Rondo is questionable. Now, total-wise, LA's last 2 straight got over the line, 5-4 to the over on their home court. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Lakers -2 over 223.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 7-0 with a push in our last 8 extra daily picks. I like the New York Knicks -1.5 over 224. Cleveland -4.5 over 201. Milwaukee -1.5 over 211. Phoenix -1.5 over 222 and a hook. OKC +4.5 over 219. Brooklyn -8.5 under 222. Houston +6 under 222.5. San Antonio +3 under 219.5. Denver Nuggets -4 under 214 and a hook. I'm also leaning toward the under 222 in the Chicago Golden State game. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 7-0 with a push in our last 8 extra daily picks on brockpage.com. We're also 6-3 in our last 9 NBA tier package picks on that very same website. I'm going to lean toward the LA Lakers -2 over 223.5. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that's going to go to Yao Guste 85, who said the other day, "Thank you, Brock. Let's cash on those picks. No exception." I like that attitude. I like that. All right, guys, no exception. We're taking no prisoners. We're taking no prisoners today. No exception. Let's cash on those picks. I like that, Goose Day. I like that a lot. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on brockpage.com, you're going to get access to those picks all the way through the end of November. Although I do tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.